Good morning, it's Steph. Today I want to talk to you about your fear game plan. I listened to this podcast by Tim Ferriss a long time ago, and this is something that I've been using to help me get through this very uncertain period of time. And it helps in your personal life, it helps in business, but it's healthy to just acknowledge if you're feeling uncertain or anxious or even fearful about something that's yet to really be determined. And there's a lot of uncertainty right now, and there's a lot of fear around that. But rather than get stuck in that and stagnate and not be able to make decisions or not be able to move forward, you should have a game plan to address your fear. So one thing that Tim Ferriss talked about doing that really resonated with me is first you write down, regardless of how ridiculous it may sound, regardless of how much your brain wants to shut down your emotion and try and rationalize it away, you should just say what you're afraid of. Even if it sounds stupid or ridiculous, you just write it down. And then begin to visualize, well, what's the worst that will happen? And granted, there's a lot of worse going on right now, and there's no denying that. But there's also no denying that this is life, and there are no other options but to continue living it and engaging in it. So list what you're afraid of, visualize what's the worst that can happen, and then put a game plan together that addresses the worst thing. Because you always have options. There's always something that you have control over. There are always people in your life who can help you. There are always actions that you can take that are constructive. So start thinking about the things that you actually can control. And I'll give you a very personal example around this. When my husband started his business 8 years ago, and we had a lot on the line. We were personally invested in it, financially, emotionally, psychologically. We played what's the worst that could happen before we signed the personal guarantee for the lease on our building. And we talked about it. And the worst that would happen is we would have to declare bankruptcy. And I remember making the phone call to my parents and saying, this is the worst that could happen. And if that happens, can we come and live with you until we get back on our feet? And there was something very powerful about making ourselves recognize that this was a possibility, talking to my parents, who are lovely, thank God, and we could come and live with them until we could figure it out, and we knew that we could recover. So the worst that could happen, we suddenly had a plan for. And even though it would have really sucked, and even though it was scary, we knew how we could land on our feet and start to rebuild. And as it turned out, it was successful. We did not have to declare bankruptcy. My parents are blissfully still child-free empty nesters. And it worked out in the end. But I think one of the reasons it did work out in the end is because we freed that space in our brain that is devoted to constant worrying about the thing that we won't articulate. So try going through that process and see what inventory you've got going on up there. And take the time to visualize, well, if that were to happen, what would I do? How would I get past it? And make that your game plan. And hopefully you never have to use it and you don't have to worry about it. But the really key thing is it doesn't take up space in your brain anymore. If you're starting to feel stuck, if you're frustrated and you can't get past this fear on your own, please reach out and ask for help. I'm here. I can recommend therapists to you. But getting stuck in your own swirl is not doing you any service. So if you need help, ask for it. There are plenty of professionals out there, myself included, who will be happy to help see you through it. So that's all I have for you this week. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Take care.